Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a really heated conversation?
Oh, we've all been there.
Right, you're just pouring your heart out, you're trying to explain a massive problem you're seeing, and then the other person just completely shuts
And
down.
they hit you with that classic line.
Exactly. They say, "Look, I just really don't like your tone."
It is so incredibly frustrating.
It really is. You're sitting there trying to point out this massive, glaring flaw in a system you both rely on, and suddenly the actual issue is thrown out the window.
Completely ignored.
And why? Because you didn't deliver the message with, like, a shiny, happy bow on top. If you are nodding your head right now, or maybe even rolling your eyes at a very specific memory, you are definitely not alone.
Not at all.
And you are exactly where you need to be.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating stack of notes from a piece of writing called The Unfiltered Lens, Truth Beyond Tone. It's a profoundly interesting set of ideas we've got in front of us today. It really tackles one of those universal frustrations we all experience, but we rarely have the vocabulary to actually articulate it.
Our mission today is to unpack that intense friction between delivering the raw, unfiltered truth and society's absolute obsession with a positive delivery.
That demand for the wrapping paper over the gift.
Yes. We're going to look at why people demand that wrapping paper and how the people you surround yourself with heavily influence how you process that truth. And to help me do that, I'm joined by our resident analytical guide.
Happy to be here.
You always have this incredible ability to look at the psychology behind why we communicate the way we do, so I am thrilled we're tackling this today.
I'm really looking forward to it. The core theme we're exploring today is essentially about packaging. We'll examine why that societal demand for a polite, upbeat tone can actually be a massive trap.
A huge trap.
Yeah, and why surrounding yourself with people who challenge your perspective rather than just policing your delivery is absolutely essential for your growth.
Okay, let's unpack this. The notes from the Unfiltered Lens start off by highlighting a very relatable frustration. It's about that desperate feeling of wanting others to see things from your perspective, especially when you are looking at a system that is actively failing.
And the intention here is key.
Right, what really stands out is the intention. We aren't talking about someone who's just trying to be difficult or contrarian just for the fun of it.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that this comes from a place of passion. It comes from caring deeply about the outcome.
But when you're pointing out a failing system, the delivery naturally takes on what's described here as a non-positive tone.
And we really need to pause on that specific phrasing because it's a crucial distinction. The ideas here draw a very sharp, deliberate boundary between a non-positive tone and a negative tone.
But wait, isn't there a danger there? I mean, if we completely abandon the social contract of politeness, don't we just risk becoming those toxic complainers who drain the energy out of every room?
Wow.
Like, how do we reconcile pointing out flaws without just being a miserable presence?
That's exactly why the distinction is so important. When people hear the word negative, they almost automatically think of pessimism or toxicity.
Someone complaining just to bring everyone down.
Right. But non-positive doesn't mean toxic. It simply means the absence of artificial cheer.
Ah, I see.
Think about it. If you're pointing out structural failures or identifying things that are going terribly wrong, plastering a fake smile on your face and speaking in a chipper, upbeat cadence, it's completely incongruent with the reality of the situation.
It's bizarre behavior when you really think about it.
It is. The core question being asked here is, why do I owe you a positive tone when the reality we're looking at is decidedly not positive?
That actually makes so much sense when you frame it like that. To bring this down to earth, there's this fantastic, vivid anecdote in the source material about a chemistry class.
Oh, this is a great example.
There's a professor who's described as wicked, demanding, and belittling. So you have to paint that picture in your mind. You're in this classroom, the students are walking on eggshells.
Everyone feels small.
Yes, and they're dealing with an authority figure who is actively unkind. And the foundational question posed is, why speak nicely about someone like that?
It's the perfect environment to test this theory.
Right. Like, if the professor is consistently belittling people, why should anyone shift their tone to appease the audience? Why pretend it's a comfortable conversation when it's just not?
This raises an important question about the social contracts we silently agree to every single day.
Yeah.
Society places a massive premium on appeasement.
We're taught that from childhood, right? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Exactly. But what happens when the thing that desperately needs to be said is inherently not nice? When you're dealing with a wicked authority figure, highlighting those failures and omitting the positivity isn't just justified.
It's
It's
necessary.
arguably the only logical response.
Mm.
Expecting someone to sprinkle fairy dust and positivity over a toxic environment is essentially a form of collective denial. It's a demand for the speaker to lie, just to make the listener feel more comfortable.
And it protects the bad behavior. By forcing everyone to talk nicely about the wicked professor,
Yeah.
the professor just gets to keep being wicked.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. There's this massive internal shift described in the text, this aha moment where you realize, wait a minute, I am not the problem here.
That's a huge turning point.
Sure, you could adjust your tone to appease the audience. We all have the social skills to sugarcoat things if we really want to play the game, but the realization is that it absolutely isn't required.
That realization is a profound act of taking back your power. It's shedding the responsibility for other people's emotional comfort when you're dealing with objective realities.
You stop being the shock absorber for everyone else.
Right. You stop absorbing the impact of their delicate sensibility.
Exactly. And the source pushes this even further. Pointing out the bad isn't just black and white negativity. It's not just walking into a room saying everything is terrible and then leaving.
No, not at all.
These observations are described as points for change. They're the why. They serve as the starting point for actually fixing things.
Which changes the entire framing of the conflict.
Yeah.
You aren't just venting, you're diagnosing.
Oh, I like that.
Think about a medical scenario. When a doctor tells you that your leg is broken, you don't accuse the doctor of having a negative tone.
You don't say, could you say that with a bit more enthusiasm, doc?
Right. You accept the diagnosis because acknowledging the break is the necessary starting point for healing the bone. Applying that same logic to social systems or classrooms or workplaces is what's being advocated for here.
I love that analogy. And the real hope here is that the audience, the people listening to the critique, would stop obsessing over the delivery and just engage with the actual content.
Which is hard for people to do.
It is. Instead of saying, I don't like your tone, why not ask proactive, probing questions like, okay, how would you solve this problem?
If we really synthesize this, it is a masterclass in how we ought to handle criticism. Because, let's be honest, tone policing is fundamentally a distraction technique.
A deflection.
It's a highly effective way for a listener to completely avoid dealing with an uncomfortable truth. By saying, I don't like how you're saying this, the listener successfully derails the entire conversation.
They take the spotlight off the failing system and shine it directly onto the speaker.
Turning them into the problem.
It's the ultimate conversational magic trick. Look over here at your bad attitude. Don't look at the fire in the kitchen.
Precisely. Bypassing that tone and focusing on solutions requires maturity. Asking those proactive, probing questions like, what do you want done? Or how would you solve this? Is infinitely more productive than demanding someone artificially sweeten their frustration.
But it requires the listener to actually do the work.
Yes, and that is exactly the issue.
Which perfectly transitions us into the next major theme of the notes, because not everyone is willing to do that work. That brings us to the importance of the people you keep in your inner circle.
A crucial part of this whole framework.
The source makes a really bold assertion here. It says the wrong people will try to change your message, while the right people will challenge your perspective so you can grow.
It's a brilliant way to categorize your social circle. It separates those who want to suppress you from those who want to develop you.
To illustrate this, there's a scenario provided that I think every single person listening to this has either witnessed or been a part of. We all know this dynamic.
Bad relationship analogy?
Yes, the bad relationship analogy. Someone is in a committed relationship that is clearly terrible. It's painfully obvious to everyone involved that this person is absolutely not going to leave the relationship, but they constantly complain and express their hardships to their friend group.
Every Tuesday over coffee, it's the same complaints.
Oh, we've all been there. It's exhausting for the friend group, and usually it leads to a lot of friction.
But it serves as a fascinating case study for this whole theory on tone and truth.
So let's look at that dynamic. You've got two ways a friend can react. We'll call them friend one and friend two. Friend one takes what's framed as the wrong approach.
Okay, let's hear it.
The response goes something like this. You should just leave them. Why be with someone if you're just going to complain the whole time? You're better off alone. It'd be way more peaceful. You never have anything nice to say.
Notice what friend one is doing there. Let's really break it down because it ties directly back to our discussion about tone policing.
Yeah, how so?
Friend one is acting as an authoritative influence. In reality, They're just annoyed by the complaining. They're annoyed by the non-positive tone disrupting their day.
They just want the noise to stop.
Exactly. So they try to make a massive emotional decision for their friend just to shut it down by saying you should leave them and hitting them with the classic, you never have anything nice to say.
Yeah.
Friend one isn't actually engaging with the complexities of why their friend is suffering.
They're just trying to clear the room.
They want their own environment to be peaceful again. It is tone policing disguised as tough love.
That is so spot on. You never have anything nice to say is the ultimate red flag. It completely dismisses the pain the person is trying to communicate.
It does.
Okay, so now let's look at friend 2, who takes the right approach. It's a completely different reaction. Friend 2 listens, thinks about it, and says, interesting. Why do you love them? Why do you tolerate the bad days if there isn't any good? Are there good days? What is it about them that annoys you that you can actually change within yourself?
What's fascinating here is the complete absence of a directive.
They aren't telling them what to do.
Friend 2 doesn't tell the complaining person what to do at all. Instead, Friend 2 asks the exact kind of proactive probing questions we were talking about earlier with the chemistry professor.
Oh, wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second here. Isn't friend 2 just being exhausting in a different way? I mean, if your friend is venting about a terrible partner and you hit them with a Socratic seminar about what can you change within yourself, isn't that just going to make them mad?
It might make them uncomfortable, certainly, but that's the point. Friend 2 realizes that the complaining friend isn't actually going to leave.
Right.
So instead of banging their head against a wall demanding an action the friend won't take, friend 2 shifts the expectation. They expect the friend to grow or change their perspective.
I see.
By asking, why do you tolerate the bad days? And what can you change within yourself? Friend 2 is challenging the person to confront their own reality. They're taking that non-positive data, the endless complaints, and using it as a starting point for actual change.
They validate the truth of the pain, but they brutally challenge the perspective.
You're holding up a mirror.
Holding up a mirror, yes.
And holding up that mirror is what allows the person to actually see the truth of their situation, rather than just being handed a script of what to do. Honestly, it requires a lot more patience to be friend 2.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much easier to look at your watch and say, just dump them, you're annoying me.
It takes real intellectual and emotional endurance to sit with someone in their non-positive state and ask the hard questions that help them navigate it.
Now, there is a really important caveat here in the notes that I want to highlight. Technically, in terms of the specific practical advice, both friends could be wrong.
How do you mean?
Well, maybe leaving is a terrible move, or maybe staying and trying to change yourself is a terrible move. The focus isn't on who has the perfect, objectively correct answer. The focus is on the underlying intentions.
Right. The intent behind the reaction.
Both friends care, but the impact of their approaches is vastly different. While friend 1 tries to force a quick, emotional decision to restore their own peace, friend 2 demands deep reflection.
Which brings us to the final and, frankly, the most impactful observation in this entire deep dive. It's a moment where this whole philosophy turns inward.
Yes, this is the part that really got me. We've talked about tone and failing systems and chemistry professors and friends in bad relationships, but the ultimate conclusion here turns the lens completely around.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It points out that people very often act like friend 1 to themselves.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals so much about modern human nature. Think about the cognitive dissonance it causes when our gut tells us a situation is toxic. But our societal programming tells us to look on the bright side and be positive.
We panic.
We experience a negative emotion, or we find ourselves in a failing system, maybe it's a soul-crushing job, or a bad relationship of our own. And instead of acting like friend 2 to ourselves, instead of sitting down and asking those hard, probing, uncomfortable questions about why we are there and what we can change, we act like friend 1.
We just try to shut our own feelings down. We look at our own internal state, get annoyed by the complaining, and say, ugh, just get over it.
Exactly. The source material notes that we make authoritative decisions within our own lives without consulting with the truth.
Without consulting with the truth. That is powerful.
We completely bypass the deep, uncomfortable self-reflection. Because let's face it, sitting with your own non-positive internal tone is really hard work.
Nobody wants to do it.
We want a quick fix. We want to scroll past it. So we make these quick, emotional, authoritative mandates in our own heads. We tell ourselves, just quit the job tomorrow. Or on the flip side, just stop complaining, practice gratitude, and force a smile.
And we do this without ever actually unpacking the root of the issue.
Never getting to the why.
It's internal tone policing. We treat our own intuition the exact same way society treats someone pointing out a failing system. We
Well,
demand that it be quiet, or we demand that it be perfectly positive before we'll even listen to
we
it.
do. We silence our own alarms because we don't like the sound they make. And when you bypass the truth like that, you rob yourself of the opportunity to actually fix the underlying problem.
You're just putting a Band-Aid over a check engine light?
That is exactly what it is.
So what does this all mean for you, the person listening right now? How do you actually apply this framework to your daily life? Because this isn't just abstract philosophy, it's highly actionable.
Very actionable.
First, don't let tone policing distract you. Whether you're speaking up about a failing system or someone is coming to you with a valid critique, remember that the truth doesn't lose its validity just because it isn't delivered with a warm smile and a hug.
The facts remain the facts.
A broken system is still broken, regardless of the tone used to point it out.
And second, take a really hard, honest look at your inner circle. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they the friend ones who just want you to be quiet and make impulsive decisions so they don't have to deal with your discomfort?
Or are you cultivating a circle of friend twos, the people who will ask you the probing, exhausting, necessary questions that actually force you to grow?
Makes a massive difference.
And finally, perhaps the most critical takeaway of all, stop acting like friend one to yourself. Stop tone policing your own intuition. Take the time to actually consult the truth, however ugly or non-positive it might feel, before making massive authoritative choices in your own life.
It's a phenomenal lens for interacting with the world. And it leaves us with something quite profound to consider long after you finish listening today.
What's that final thought?
If we are so incredibly quick to judge the tone of others when they point out a failing system, how often do we silence our own internal voice of truth just because it doesn't sound positive enough to our own ears? Are we tone policing our own intuition? That is the question you have to sit with. When your gut tells you something is deeply wrong, do you listen to the message or do you dismiss it entirely just because the feeling isn't wrapped in joy?
Wow. That's definitely going to stick with me. It really changes how you look at every frustration you feel. A massive thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive and exploring the unfiltered lens with us. Keep asking those hard questions, keep surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, and most importantly, keep seeking the truth beyond the tone. Catch you next time.